good. Doing good.
Alright? First and foremost, we want to give all praises to
Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Kakadash.
We'll give double honors to the elders, GMS, as well. Peace and salutation to the brothers and Akim out there pushing this word in sincerity and truth. And to the brothers and sisters that are living the words in sincerity and truth. We're the Hebrew Israelites, and we come out to you once again to bring you the word of the Most High. Teaching to these people that are on this sign that you are the chosen bloodline of the Most High. And we come out to teach you that who you are and how important it is to understand who you are and where your background comes from. Most people say that we do not know our history. Well, our history is in the Bible. You know, those people are our people from the Bible. And so that's what we learn from our history from, you know, because if you ask anybody, well, I go back to Africa, you know, that's all they can tell you. But no, it goes further than that. And now that the Most High has woken us up to identify who we are, we're coming out to teach His word and also bring prophecy of the foretold end of this age, end of this world that's about to happen. And we're beginning to live it now, you know, this generation. Brother got something to say?
This is Isaiah chapter 14, starting at verse 1 in KJV. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land.
Reading in the AMP. It's like
Finish in KJV.
you can go ahead and then.
And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Verse 1 in the AMP. For the Lord will have compassion on Jacob, the captives in Babylon, and will again choose Israel, and will settle them in their own land, foreigners, Gentiles, which is not going into the actual Gentiles, it's going into the Israelite foreigners, will join them as proselytes and will attach themselves to the house of Jacob, which is Israel.
Right, you know, and see, we're in the land of Babylon now. Of course, when you type in Babylon in Google, it comes up, you know, America, you know, because the old ancient Babylon exists, but it's not thriving like, you know, Babylon did back in the ancient time. So this is the modern day Babylon. This is who it's talking about. It's talking about America. And who are the captives that's over in Babylon? It's talking about the blacks, the Latinos, and the Native American Indians. You know, who came over? The Negroes.
Yeah. Right here. We teach right here.
This is our captive. You know, the Negroes. We've been captive. We was brought over here from in ships, going back to Deuteronomy 68 and 28. You know, those people were brought over from Africa that fled from Jerusalem into Africa, set up colonies, and then the British and the Hamites came in and started war with them. And it wasn't just no rounding up people and bringing them over here. No, they went through war, and then they conquered them and brought them over here, which was foretold to happen, which goes back into prophecy.
Right, and like the brother said, when you go on Google and you start researching Babylon and ancient, first of all, the word Babylon or Babal goes into confusion. That's what it means. That's why the Lord referenced America to Babylon the Great. Like the brother said, modern day Babylon is America. This is the land of utter confusion. And then too, when you start going into characteristics and things that made Babylon stand out from other kingdoms, you will find those same things over here in Babylon, in modern day America. You know, a lot of sorcery, a lot of witchcraft, a lot of symbolism. You find all those ancient customs over here in America, even if they have a different name. So that's what the brother mean when you go into Google and type in Babylon and come up as America. He's saying that when you reference, because you reference ancient Babylon to modern day America, you see a lot of the symbolism. So when the Lord talk about Babylon, and in this verse it say Babylon, this is what it's talking about. Verse, you want me to keep staying there?
Yeah,
Verse 2, the peoples will take them along and bring them to their own place, Judea, meaning going back to our land, and the house of Israel will possess them as an inheritance in the land of the Lord as male and female servants. And they will take captive those who captives they have been and will rule over their former oppressors.
Right. And see, this is all future prophecy. You know, the Most High is telling the future. And I'm gonna get a quick precept.
What is that, got you?
Revelation 13:13. 13:9, yeah.
I got a precept after this too.
And the Most High is showing how we went into captivity, and being in captivity, after we have served our captivity, our captives wouldn't let us go, wouldn't let us be free. So now He has to come and redeem us and free us, and then, you know, those that captive us will go into captivity. So this is a future prophecy that will come true. And he's going to get that in Revelation.
Revelation chapter 13, starting at verse 9.
Do we need to read up a verse or
No, verse 9.
something?
It says, and if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
Right.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Right. So this is patience and faith. We have faith that the Most High is going to deliver us. You know, we know that He's going to come in and He's going to conquer those that have us captive and won't let us go. That's why He said, I'm going to go down to the valley, Joel 3:15, I'm going to go down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and plead for my people. You know, so this process is happening now. Although this is future prophecy, but it's happening now. It's in the midst. It's working. We can see it.
Right, and like you said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
All right.
Everybody can receive. I think this is in red too. I ain't got it in this verse. I believe it's in let me see. Well, no, it's not in red, but wait, yeah, it's not in red, but we know all the words are written are inspiration from the Most High. So what like that's why he said he that have, that's why he started off, he that have an ear, let him hear, because everybody ain't gonna be able to receive this.
Right.
You know, but only the elect. So like I said, he that lead, because most people they trying to call for peace. But no, it ain't the time. It ain't the time for peace. The time is it's time for war now.
Right.
And the war that's going on is gonna lead these people that took us into captivity right into captivity. That's when peace gonna be established.
Right.
Because Yahweh Shah is gonna make peace on the earth, but none of the nations are at war. But that don't mean none of the nations, everybody gonna be at peace. These other nations gonna be in hardcore captivity.
All right. And them not the real people over there in Israel. You know, if the real people, it won't be no war. War been exist a long time ago, long they been over there. So we still having war right today, while they say they supposed to be the chosen people, but they not. So, you know, the time we in now, same way he took us up out of Egypt, you know, Pharaoh, you know, he brought us out of Egypt, but this time he ain't gonna bring the whole 2/3 out, you know, he
The
gonna,
whole clan.
yeah, the whole clan, and so, You know, you know, like he handpicked the chosen people that he gonna want to come out of there.
Right.
And hey, hoping that whoever that is of the hopeful elect, and we hoping that we are the hopeful elect.
I got a precept. This is Psalms chapter 2. I'm going to read down to 9. I'm going to start at verse 1, entitled, The Kingdom of Yahweh Shah. It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. And this is the mindset of these heathens, especially Esau Edom. You know, they, like I said, they take counsel against Yahweh and against his people.
Right.
You know, Yahweh Shah and against his people.
Right.
They don't want nothing to do with us. They don't want us to exist. They don't want us on the earth.
Right.
If it's not for them being able to have us in captivity and exploit us and do all type of wickedness to our people.
Right.
But if it's us having any type of power or contending against them, you know, being a contender against them, then they don't want nothing to do with us.
Right.
And I say, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, the time we in now, Edom have enjoyed all the wealth of the world. They have enjoyed everything. Ain't no need trying to give you seat up now. You might well keep your seat, baby, because you know what's coming to you. Now you're getting scared. Now your own people getting scared, wondering what's going on, because y'all turning on them, and they want to know what's going on. So we the chosen people, and you know we got next. So ain't no need giving up your seat now. You should have gave it up a long time ago.
Well, they're gonna fight to the bitter end.
Yeah, they're gonna fight.
But, you know, that's part of King David's prayer, that their own evil fall upon them. When they dig a pit, he prayed, let them dig 2 pits. You know, one that they will fall in as well. So let his people fall in those pits. And they're beginning to fall in those pits. Those curses that the Most High put us under, he promised to put them under. And those curses are beginning to befall on them. And, you know, a lot of them are bugging out right now and cannot handle it.
Right.
Verse 4.
Verse 3.
You want to read 3 again?
Did you read it?
Uh-huh. I'll read it again. It says, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us.
Oh, you in your precept. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you was in,
He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision as he do now. He got them deceived. Because they really thought that they was going to be, even with this war, people really thought that Iran was nothing to worry about. You know, when it first started, they was thinking that, oh, Iran ain't gonna be, how you doing? They were thinking Iran ain't gonna be nothing. They ain't. But now you got American soldiers saying that they losing the war.
Right.
You know, and a lot of them are actually dying. They're not gonna tell you the truth.
Right.
You know, but that's why the Lord got social media out. He got a lot of those soldiers. They were doing all the TikToks. You remember all the women that was doing the TikTok dances? Well, now they not doing it. Now they telling you that they don't want to go to war because a lot of them are dying. They losing the war. And then not only that, America's allies are not helping.
Right.
Right.
They don't want that, but that's prophecy. They said their allies is going to turn against them. And that's what we see in the beginning remnants of it. And before those thermonuclear missiles are shot off, before those thermonuclear missiles are shot off, you're going to have this come to pass. You know, that's why the Lord has them in derision. This got to happen before those nukes get shot off.
Right.
And that system got to be set up. You know, these prophecies are going to come to pass. So that, like it said, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Because you had a lot of Edomites that was thinking, oh, Iran, we ain't worry about them. We'll blow them up if they get out of pocket. But now, America is the one being threatened to be blown up.
And they wasn't expecting Russia to help Iran. You know, they was expecting them to just be able to go in and bully Iran.
Right.
But Iran and Russia's allies and other allies are helping them, and they wasn't expecting that. Same way when they went in, Russia was attacking Venezuela.
Right.
Not Venezuela, UK. You know, Ukraine, right? You know, they weren't.
Zelensky.
Yeah.
They wasn't. The U.S. wasn't expecting. I mean, Russia wasn't expecting the U.S. to help them. but now it's befalling on the U.S. But they have more that are helping Iran than the U.S. had back in then. So now, you know, it's getting ugly, you know, and now, you know, ships are being destroyed. Like the brother said, that they're losing the war, you know, and now they're trying to send ground troops in. They're trying to fester any way they can to try to win. And now they have, well, I'll go into that later. Go ahead.
Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion, which is Yahweh. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. This is the point. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel.
Right, you know, and the Most High is going to allow us to have them in captivity for 1,000 years. And he said, render them double, going into Revelations, you know,
Right.
of what they have dished out to us over the years that thousands of years that we have been in all the different captivities.
Right.
So payback is coming.
Yeah.
You know, they think that, you know, all we have to do is just, you know, hey, let's live and forget. No, the Most High didn't forget all of that. So now you got to pay up. You know,
Right.
it's like that butt whooping. You think your parents have forgot about it, and then when they finally get to you, it be worse than what you thought it was gonna be. You know, so they finna get it. They finna catch it. You know, 1,000 years of captivity, of slavery. You know, everything. Think about it. War going on. Things gonna be destroyed. So everything's got to be rebuilt. Just like we came over and we build this kingdom for them, they got to build our kingdom.
Right.
You know, so it's coming. You know, time is coming, and it's at an end now,
Yeah.
and it's at Esau's end, and he know this. That's why he's gonna come down with a wrath.
Yeah.
You know, because he's losing his kingdom.
Right. And at this time of my life, I wouldn't even want to be an Edomite. Think about being one. We went through all this suffering ever since we've been in the world of the United States of America, and suffering from all the other captivity around the world from other nations. Nah, what y'all got coming, baby, gonna be just worse than now.
Right.
Back in Isaiah 14, verse 2 again. The peoples will take them along and bring them to their own place, Judea. And the house of Israel will possess them as an inheritance in the land of the Lord as male and female servants, so going into slavery. And they will take captive those who captives they have been, and they will rule over their former oppressors. And it will be in that day when the Lord gives you rest from your pain and turmoil, and from the harsh service in which you have been enslaved.
And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that rest. We're looking for that eternal rest. This ain't gonna be a rest like they give you in Esau world. They give you a week off vacation and call that rest.
Or
You know,
2
by
days.
right, 2 days or a week or however many days you get for vacation, they call that a rest because you know you don't rest on your vacation. You have so much you have to do. By the time you get to the end of it, you know, you get 2 days of probably rest, but you go back to work more tired than you were before you took the vacation.
Yeah, right.
So, no, this is going to be an eternal rest.
Right.
Where we don't have to work. We don't have to suffer. We won't have all the sickness that Esau has put on us.
Right.
All the death, the dying, you know, the tiredness. And go through all the turmoil, like it said, that we're going through today.
Right.
You know, so it's going to be, you know, just peace. I mean, everything is going to be in harmony. You know, our body's going to be fit, going to be nice, going to last forever. You know, whereas their body's going to still decay and they're going to die just like they do today. Because they will not be of that royalty, of that elect, of that family of the Most High.
Right.
You know, because we're going to, like Paul said, we're going to be caught up and changed in the twinkling of an eye. When you're born into the kingdom, you're going to have a new body that will last forever.
Right.
We're not gonna get old. We're gonna be able to be 1,000 years old running out there playing with the kids.
That's
You
right.
know.
That's
So and just think about it. One day to the Most High is like 1,000 years on earth. So, you know, if you live 1,000 years, that's only one day in the Most High's, you know, world and realm where He is. So, time is not going to be a problem to us, and it will be for Esau because he's going to have that harsh punishment for 1,000 years.
Right. Same way y'all did our women, same way we're gonna do y'all, but we're gonna do ours in righteousness. Same way y'all brainwashed our women to turn against us, same way y'all just starting to do that now. You know, y'all took the best of all women and changed their whole mind and set back, you know, towards the black brothers. So, you know, hey, we're gonna get a chance to do the same thing, but ours gonna be a little bit better than y'all, but we're gonna do y'all in right.
Right.
So y'all might well get ready to prepare to get your women's took. And we're gonna take the best of y'all women and give y'all the scrap.
Right. Just to add to your point, like you said, because women are hypergamous, you know, and
Right.
in the kingdom of heaven, they gon' even the Edomite women, they gonna realize, well, women are hypergamous anyway, so they gonna gravitate. They already gravitating to the Jake, but they gonna tremendously gravitate to power in the
Right.
kingdom of heaven. But then with Esau being so low, you know, his women gonna despise him. Like a lot of stuff, it's just gonna be because of the transition of power. You're not, because like you said, we ain't gonna even have to just brainwash his women. We ain't gonna push feminism on his women to where they think they better than the Edomite. But now we gonna force them to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's gonna be their brainwashing.
They're gonna be
They gonna be forced to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. But it's gonna be even because these other nations speaking of their women, even being with an Israelite man, it's gonna be better. And being a concubine, secondary wife, that's gonna be being better than just being a servant or a slave.
Right.
You know, so Esau already hated now when his women get with Jake. So how much more in the kingdom of heaven when his women just gravitating to Jake and they only gonna be with him out of necessity for survival. Because if they don't reproduce, well, they die off on the earth. And like the brother said, they gonna get the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
But the Edomite, you know, and we ain't saying Edomite women, they just gonna be getting treated on a whole nother level. You still an Edomite, but you ain't gonna be on the same level because you still gonna be a concubine.
Right. And they ain't, you know, like they did us back in the old days, take our wife and when she was beautiful, whatever, come in there and rape her, and we couldn't say nothing. Great. Yeah, great. And so, you know, but we not gonna do y'all like that. We not gonna do y'all will have your wife. We not gonna do it the same way y'all did us. So, hey, you know, things have changed, and our time is here.
Right. Verse 4. Well, I'm gonna start back at 3. It says, and it will be in the day when the Lord gives you rest from your pain and turmoil and from the hard service in which you have been enslaved, that you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon and say, how the oppressor has ceased his insolence and how the fury has ceased.
Right. And think about it. Who has been oppressed? Think about the people that have been oppressed and oppressed the most. You know, you think about the Negroes. They have been Judah. They have been oppressed. You think about who's being oppressed now. Even though Judah seemed like they have a break in life, you know, where the Most High have lifted the standards off of them, the curses off of them a little bit. We're still oppressed, but Issachar is catching it. Benjamin is catching it. That's the Jamaicans. Cuba. Trump is talking about going to Cuba and hitting them. You know, you think about what's the other Cuba and what's the other country?
Haiti?
Not Haiti. I'm going to the
thinking
Haitians.
Dominican.
No, not Dominican. It'll come to me. But then you think about the Haitians. You think about Dominican Republic. Look at Venezuela. That whole land down there, South American land. You know, they're being oppressed. You know, Trump is talking about going there. You know, so as the scriptures say, you know, the oppression will befall on all the people, all the 12 tribes here. You know, Cuba and Benaz, and what's Ethan? Benaz and Ethan, Cuba and Puerto Rico. Look how they've been hit and the oppression that they're on. You know, all these 12 tribes are catching hell right now. You know, of course they don't show it on TV, but people that I know that have went to Jamaica say, yeah, it's a part of Jamaica that they show that look really good, but the rest of it is in pure oppression. You know, and you know, it's bad. You know, how they living over there. So, you know, they only show us what they want to show us, but all of that to say that they're going to get that same oppression. You know, they're going to get that same horror, but double than what our people have gotten now.
Verse 5, the Lord has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the tyrant rules. Which used to strike the people in anger with incessant blows, which subdued and ruled the nations in wrath with unrelenting persecution, meaning unending persecution. So like you said, the scepter goes into rulership or the power. You know, the Lord is breaking down their power structure. They don't have that same power influence over the earth and over these nations like they once did. Now these other nations are not afraid to go to war with America. They're not afraid to threaten Babylon the Great. You know, at one point threatening America will get you bombed, will get your government reorganized. You know, they'll come over here and change your whole government system and put who they want up and control your country and take your resources. Now, countries ain't worried about America doing that because they know how to fight back. And that's a part of prophecy. Let the weak say I'm strong. That's the weaker nations. Now being able to combat Babylon the Great. And they train everybody. It go all into it. After I read down a little bit.
Okay. It's on you.
Verse 7. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break into shouts of joy.
Right, and this is going to be during the time we're in the kingdom. The whole earth is going to be at peace. You know, and the only time we had that peace is during the time of King David, King Solomon. Yeah, King Solomon. We had that peace during that time. So the earth has been, you know, really in turmoil ever since, you know, after King Solomon. It's been just, you know, even when Yahweh walked the earth, it was still in turmoil. You know, although he brought the word back, but he came for, you know, the elect. You know, that's what he came for. He didn't come for the whole world as people think he came for. He came to wake up the elect, that during this time we would see the things that he had told us that we were under. We would see and understand these times that we're in, you know. So he came to wake us up, you know. As he said, Paul said, we remembered this, you know, at one time. You know, we were here, we done this, we were set forth, we were sent here. So the elect is being woken up now to carry out the full plan of the Most High.
Even the cypress trees rejoice over you, kings of Babylon. Even the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you were laid low, No wood could have comes up against us.
Everything is going to rejoice when this man is brought down. Everything, the trees, the animals, the people, everything that breathes and has the spirit of the Most High is going to rejoice because this man has been brung down and taken out of power.
Sheol below is excited about you to meet you when you come, you tyrant of Babylon. It stirs up the spirits of the dead to greet you, all the leaders of the earth. It raises all the kings of the nations from their thrones in astonishment at your fall.
Right. So when this man is taken down, everybody, everything is going to be astonished that he's taken out of power, and they're going to rejoice over. Esau of his own people going to weep and cry because Babylon has been destroyed, like in Revelation said, the merchants are going to stand afar off on the ships and weep at Babylon, that great place that was, once great. So, but everything else, all the people, we're going to rejoice at that, Everybody's tired. Everything is tired. This man has really destroyed the earth. Everything is tired.
Right, and like it said too, it said, because in the KJV it says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirs up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up their thrones, all the kings of the nations. So, like the brother going into it, this man is going to have a great slaughter, a great destruction coming to his nation, to Esau Edom. It's going to be a great destruction, and you're gonna be brought down very low, because a black man's heaven is an Edomite or a white man's hell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. So they finna be brought down all the way to the very bottom. The Lord is finna literally do a role reversal.
Right.
Verse 10. In the AMP, all of them will respond tauntingly and say to you, this all the other nations, you have become as weak as we are. You have become like us after this man's power is taken away.
And they saying that now.
No.
Well, I'm talking about weak in power and weak in,
Yeah.
They saying he's low because, like you said earlier, they beginning to stand up and fight. It's like standing up and fighting the bully. When you feel like he's weak, that's when you stand up.
Like it was saying too, it said, you have become as weak as we are. You have become like us. Because it's literally gonna be this Edomite man. He was just terrorizing the whole earth and everybody, threatening everybody, had the Israelites in captivity. Now he in captivity in the same position with these other nations, because all these nations going into captivity. That's what the Lord said. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. These other nations took part in that. Psalms 83. The Lord said we're gonna be beating all these nations into submission.
All right.
So that's why they gonna get into captivity, and they gonna see the Edomite man in captivity right along with him. They gonna be taunting him. They gonna be mocking him.
Right.
They gonna be because the Edom, they blessing is the sword. So when the Lord take away their blessing, they have nothing. They literally will have nothing. They can't contend with anybody on earth. The only reason why they were even relevant, for prophecy, but what made them relevant is because of their blessing.
I was going to say something to the train. And Sheol just goes into the grave. A lot of people associate Sheol as hell, but it's the grave, and it goes into the grave. There, as we know, there's no such thing as literal hell when people are being on fire and the little red man poking them in the ass with a pitchfork. So that's a myth that was made up by the Catholics back in 1300s. So That's what Sheol talks about, and it says that in verse 11. It says the pump is brought down to the grave. So that's all of Sheol is, the grave. That's what hell is, the grave.
Your pomp and magnificence have been brought down to Sheol, along with the music of your harps. The maggots which prey on the dead are spread out under you as a bed, and worms are your covering, Babylonian rulers.
Right, and it just talks about the state that the body goes through when you die. You know, your body is consumed by worms and maggots, and you wonder how is it? They put you in an airtight, water-sealed casket, but how is worms getting in the casket? You know, that's airtight and water-sealed because they're already within the body. And you know that this right here verse backs up, and I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit, but this verse backs up what scientists are saying now. Cancer is that mass that it builds up a worm. That's what it is. It's parasites. Parasites within the body. You know, so this is a direct precept to back that up, to back them up. That's why we should detox every month to remove those parasites that our body may continue to flow and flow through the food.
Why they always thinking that taking chemo and you know, going up under radiation, that's killing.
That's money.
Right.
That's big money. Big money for that.
Right. They kill them with that chemo.
Verse 12. I'm going to read this in the KJV. Or start in the KJV. How art thou fallen? Alright. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? And this ain't going into spiritual demon Satan, because the word Lucifer, it goes into light bringer or light bearer, which I'll pull it up real quick. And most people, this world, Christianity taught you that Lucifer was the name of Satan. Where you'll find it nowhere in the Bible. Right. The word Lucifer only pops up one time in this one particular verse, and it has nothing to do with the spiritual demon Satan.
Right.
It says the word Lucifer goes into light bearer, light bearer, shining one, morning star. It says of the king of Babylon. So it's telling you it's going into a man, but then it's going to be more specific that it's talking about an actual man. And it's not just one man, it's going into a nation of people. It says, but thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. The spiritual demon Satan ain't doing this. You know, the spiritual demon Satan ain't on earth making these accusations or making these moves. It's Esau Edom. So-called white man, that's the one who's doing it. That's the one who want to be like the Most High. The spiritual demon Satan is doing exactly what the Lord created him to do. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And is that not what Esau Edom did? What is that, Daniel chapter 7? Where it going to, he thought to change the times and the laws. How you gonna change universal laws? You know, the laws that Yahweh Shem Shai ordained the earth to be governed by. You know, he got ecosystems out of order. You know, he got animals out of order. how did you get to a point? How did the earth get to a point where you got animals, you got male on male and female on female with animals?
Right.
Lord ain't the Lord created them to be completely in order. They weren't going out of order, you know. But because of Esau Edom temperament, he done this. He destroyed various parts of the earth, cutting down trees. That's why, like we read, the trees, even the trees gonna rejoice at your downfall. You destroying ecosystem of trees. You got insects out of order now. Don't you realize that bees, they pollinate the crops, so that I think it's like 30% of the food that comes from the bees pollinating the crops. So when this man destroying the bees, destroying all, it's more than just bees, but you know, he destroying the ecosystem that the Lord set in order. He throwing off the course of the earth.
Right.
He trying to rewrite what the Lord already set in motion.
Right, because you know, honeybees produce, you know, most people don't think of honey as something that's really, really powerful in the body. But honey does a lot, raw honey, really, that comes from right from the beehive, does a lot for the body as far as healing, removing, and enforcing the strength of the body. You know, it has a lot of properties. But, you know, honeybees here pretty much destroyed where they were naturally. You know, now they're all well, you know, mostly in containment. You know, and then they get the honey, they process it and take out a lot of the properties of the honey that is less effective when you buy it or eat it.
I think it said, I think an article said it was over 70%, but I can't remember the exact percentage, but I think it said like 70% of the honey in grocery stores not even real.
Right.
It's just, I think they said it's corn syrup with dye. So it's not even real honey. But that's Esau that done switched this up, you know, changed everything. And then of course you got mankind. He changed the whole man from being a man, women from being women, and being with men and being with women. You got he changed the concept of the mindset of people in general, not even just our people, but people in general. Because you got women that come to, you know, women when they grow up, they don't even think about having children. You know, they'll say they don't even want to have a child. But that's your whole purpose. That's literally like half of your purpose of existence is to bear children, bring children into the earth. Right. And if you're not doing that, what are you here for? The Lord literally have it in the first 3 chapters of the Bible that your desire is gonna be to your husband. He made childbearing harder for you, more painful, because you didn't follow the order. You followed the serpent. And see, even Esau was doing it back then. You know, he wasn't Esau at the time, he was the serpent, but he was doing it back then, changing the universal law that the Lord had in motion. And when we followed it, that's when we got punished. So even now to this day, following after this man, what happened?
Man said like she driving a bull. That little bit of car here. I said lady get out the way.
So even doing it now, but the spiritual demon Satan ain't do this. That's why again, people associate Lucifer with the spiritual demon Satan. You only see the word name Lucifer one time in the scriptures, and people don't even know what it means. They just think it just Satan when he was an angel, he was the most beautiful angel. Nowhere in the scriptures do you find that.
Right.
So like I said, I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. Only Esau is trying to be like the Most High and change the orders that the Lord, the universal laws. And the reason why I say universal laws is because the whole universe is going to be governed by the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. It's only earth that's going out of course.
Right.
Verse 15, back in the AMP. But in fact, you will be brought down to Sheol, to the remote recesses of the pit, the reign of the dead. Those who see you will gaze at you. They will consider you, saying, "Is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook kingdoms?"
Right. You know, they're gonna be looking at all those dead bodies out there, you know, and saying, "Is this the man?" You know, because the Most High is gonna kill off a lot of them. You know, and he's bringing them down slowly. You know, Babylon Babylon has been the battle axe for Esau for the longest, but now it's losing its power, and the Most High going to use the other nations to continue to bring it on down. And once it falls, it's it. And how does a kingdom fall? It falls from within. So that's what's happening. At one time they were all together, but now they're fighting with each other, and so they're beginning to fall within. You know, as the scriptures say, a house divided can't stand.
And then too, in the kingdom, these other nations, they gonna look at Esau, Edom in captivity right along with them, and they gonna be in a worse predicament. Esau gonna be in a worse predicament out of all the nations. And they gonna be like, is this the man that was causing all this chaos and turmoil on the earth? Look at them now. We really gonna see an Edomite in their natural state, you know, powerless, unimportant. You know, nobody has no type of sympathy or mercy for them. The other nations don't.
Right.
The animals ain't. The earth itself ain't. We ain't. The Lord ain't. So we gonna see Edomites in their true state without their power, without their blessing. And that's why the other nations gonna look at them like, this the one that was causing all the chaos on the earth? And that's why I say, is this the man? It lets you know it's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan.
Right.
It says, who made the world like a wilderness and overthrew cities, who did not permit his prisoners to return home.
Right. And that go back to what I said earlier. You know, the Most High is bringing them together in the valley of Jehoshaphat, you know, to plead with them to let his people go. Because when our captivity was over with, he still kept his foot on our neck. You know, he refused to tell us who we are. You know, he refused to tell us the truth and let us thrive, you know, but all right, doing
How you doing, bro?
And so now, you know, the Most High is bringing him down and punishing him for the atrocities that he have done to our people. And so, you know, this is his punishment. You know, and he got to pay for it.
All the kings of the nations, all of them lie dead in glorious array, each one in his own scepter. But you, king of Babylon, have been cast out of your tomb, denied burial, like a rejected branch, clothed with the slain, who are pierced by the sword, who go down to the stones of the pit, into which carcasses are thrown, like a dead body trampled underfoot. Meaning you ain't gonna have no honorable, you ain't gonna have no honorable going out of power. Like, we ain't gonna just be like, yeah, America was once good, and Esau, he done this for the earth, and you ain't gonna have that. When you go through your history records, everything you done has been completely wicked. So we ain't gonna have nothing good to say about you. We can't even say not one good thing you have done that was beneficial to the earth. That's how it's gonna be. Like I said, you're gonna be denied burial. Not one good thing have you done benefited or not one thing have you done on the earth benefited the earth or the people.
Right.
Verse 20, you will not be united with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land, you have slain your people, made the descendants of evildoers never be named, or in the KJV, never be renowned.
Meaning they'll never rise up again. You know, this is it for them.
Prepare a slaughtering place for his sons because of the wickedness, the sin, the injustice, the wrongdoing of their fathers. They must not rise and take possession of the earth and fill the face of the world with cities.
Right. So that slaughter is being set up now. That's what this war is going into. You know, the Most High is finna slaughter his sons and his nephews and cut them off. Because if you don't have a male, then you can't reproduce. You know, so they're gonna come back in the kingdom, but they're gonna come back into strict slavery. You know, they're gonna be in captivity. And no rise, this place is gonna be totally destroyed. So they won't be able to come over here and build and rebuild, because it'll never be rebuilt again.
Or anywhere, and after 1,000 years, like the brother said, that all the males of their nation is gonna cease to exist. Meaning their whole nation is gonna die off.
After 1,000 years, their whole nation is gonna be wiped out. Even they women, cause in 1,000 years, you know, we're gonna deal with them and repopulate, we will, but after 1,000 years, there will be no remainder of a house of Esau. It will be all annihilated.
I will rise up against them, says the Lord of hosts, and will cut off from Babylon name and survivors, and son and grandson, declares the Lord. I mean, and because the son and grandson goes into future generations,
Right.
or the next generation. So eventually, the Lord is saying he gonna cut off the generations. I will also make Babylon a possession of the hedgehog and of swamps of water. I will sweep it with the bosom of destruction, with the broom of destruction, declares the Lord of hosts.
Right, meaning that it won't be habitable anymore.
It happened.
Yeah, it happened.
Right, inhabitable anymore because he's going to destroy everything. Not, bricks, stone, streets, everything. You think about the missiles. You got 200 thousands of missiles shot up on this place. IBCM missiles.
Millions.
And it nothing is going to be. It's going to be just dirt over here, basically. And he's not going to allow them to come back and rebuild because, like we said, they're going to go into captivity. Although they're going to want to leave, but we're not going to let them. They're going to get double,
Ready to pick up a fight or something.
They're not going to be able to fight us. I mean, we're going to have spiritual power, so how can they fight us, and win? They won't be. They'll be just obliterated right there.
Just reading the news, it just said Mississippi casinos to collect winnings from parents behind on child support. So how much more oppression is that? Here it is, you go to the casino and you hit, and then they find out that you owe child support. Now they taking your money.
Come on, man.
Oh yeah, they finding everything. It's something else that they were doing too about child support that they weren't gonna allow you to do. I can't remember what
They
it
taking
was.
the money.
Yeah, I'm talking about it's something else they were gonna take money from as well.
It says starting July 1st of 2026, parents behind on paying child support will have to forfeit casino game winnings worth $2,000 or more, according to the bill. Mississippi, and this is Mississippi. Mississippi casinos will intercept those earnings and give them to the Mississippi Department of Human Services. The money would then go to the child of the parents who are behind on paying child support. Casinos will receive a database from MDHS so they will know who is behind on payments. When someone wins at least a $2,000 jackpot on the slot machines, the casino will run their name through the database to see if the parents are behind on child support. This is projected to create about $1 million a year in payments that are, that's $1 million that wasn't getting collected this time last year, said State Senator Walter McHale. He said it's taken 4 years to get this bill across the finish line.
Yeah, I had mine up in the bank. They got all their little bit. I had about $700-800 up in there. They went through my savings account and got that money.
That might have been what it was. They were going to start going through people's bank accounts.
They did mine last year like that.
It was something that they just passed.
Yeah, they just passed that bill.
On a federal level.
Yeah. And I had $700-800. I went up in there. I was at the store and I kept wondering why the car kept declining. They got all my little money out of there, man.
Yeah. Like I said, even at this very
He
end,
gonna pay for that.
You're right.
even at this very end, they still trying to pass some. Here it is, Iran talking about blowing America up,
Yeah.
and they talking about collecting child support. You know it's talking about Jake.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you know it's talking about the Israelite man.
Yeah.
But it's a
Well,
lot. It's a lot
just
of
Israelites in general.
It's a lot of Edomites out there with their old child support. It's probably a good many of them, more than we would think.
Yeah.
Their old child support that's behind.
Right. But they just get caught up in the ring because really they trying to get Jake.
Right.
That's what
yeah,
they
the
trying to
person.
get.
Yeah, everything is falling on Jake.
Falling on Jake.
And go ahead.
But yeah, they got my little $800 out of there, man. I was up in Walmart. I kept wondering why it kept declining. I done packed up, got food and everything. Couldn't get nothing.
Yeah, and then also too, you know, they attacking the Google, since you mentioned that, TikTok, and some other platforms they being sued right now um, for what is it called? Addicting the teenagers and making them more addicted to Google and TikTok and all of this. So that is probably depending on, I think TikTok and one other went on and paid, but Google and Instagram and something else took it to court and looked like they done lost. And so they're gonna have to pay. And so now, you know, it's probably something finna come down with that, or they finna shut it down in some form or fashion, or make people pay for it, or set an age limit on it, you know. But something is going to happen, transpire behind that. But the reason we went into this is because, you know, now the Army sent out a big change of their administration to say that anybody that want to volunteer under the age of 42 can volunteer to be in the Army. They had an age cap on it at 35, but now they're saying that if even going into wartime, they will accept 17-year-olds up to 42. So it's letting you know that the draft is getting ready to come. You know, now they're trying to raise the limit to see if because a lot of the younger people are not signing up. So let's get some older people and see if they sign up. Well, if they don't sign up, then what are they going to do next? They're going to raise the age of the draft, because right now the selective service is 18 to 25. But they're going to raise it so that they can start drafting people into the military to go fight this war, because it's not, these other countries got millions, like China, they got millions of troops. Russia, they got hundreds of thousands of troops, if not millions, you know, that's ready to go in and fight. The U.S. doesn't have that number that's able and ready to go. So it's getting ugly out there. And, you know, it's they're getting ready to send in the ground troops. And then, you know, they done bomb first you hit the strategic areas, you know, so when you send your troops in, they don't have radar that can pick them up and all of that. So now they're getting ready to go in and try to seize. And Iran turned down all of Trump's offers, so, you know, they let you know that they ain't backing down.
Backing down whatsoever.
It says the Lord of hosts has sworn an oath, saying, just as I have intended, so it has certainly happened, and just as I have planned, so it will stand, to break the Assyrian in my land and my mountains, and on my mountains I will trample him underfoot. Then the Assyrian's yoke will be removed from them, the people of Judah, and his burden removed from their shoulder. This is the plan of the Most High, decided for the whole earth, regarded as conquered and put under tribute by Assyria. And this is the hand of the Most High that is stretched out over all the nations. For the Lord of hosts has decided and planned, and who can annul it?
Right. But that just lets you know the Most High, we're working off the Most High's plan. Everything that's happening now is the plan of the Most High. And we think we got free will, which we don't. This is the Most High's plan, and he's orchestrating, and he's making it happen. And, you know, as he is stated in the Word and throughout the whole Bible, you know, all of these things are going to happen, and they must happen, you know, because his Word doesn't go out to him void. So people think, you know, yeah, I can petition the Most High and change this. No, it's not going to happen. You know, this is what's happening, this is how it's going to happen, and this is the playbook. Now, whether he open your eyes to see it, hear it, everybody's going to hear it. But now, whether you take it in or not, it's going to happen. And so this war World War III is going to happen. And Esau is going to try to find a way to control the people. And he's going to try to do it through the Quran, the potato chip. He's going to try to control people through that. You know, but it's going to backfire on him in a lot of ways, mainly with the elect.
His hand is stretched out, And who can turn it back? Want me to keep going?
Yeah, you can stop it.
I got a precept going to where you were saying, like, the Lord is not going to change his mind about everything that's happening. Psalms 110, the part is in verse 4. I'm going to start at the top, though. It says, Psalms of David, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool.
Right, you know, and so what he told Yahweh Shai, you know, just sit here and wait, you know, because like Yahweh Shai said, only the Father knows when the end is going to come. So he like sit and wait, you know. When time comes, I send you out, you know. And Yahweh Shai, he probably got a war attire on now, standing at the door. He's like, Father, is it time? Is it time? But at the same time, we got to think about it. Who is the bride of Yahweh Shai? You know, the Father's telling them to wait. You know, I'm gonna send you to get your bride, and that's what we're working for. That's what we're laboring for, to be part of that bride, be that bride of Yahweh Shai. So it's twofold. Go ahead.
Psalms 110 AMP. Sons of David, the Lord Father says to my Lord, the Messiah, his son, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet, subjugating them into complete submission. The Lord will send the scepter of your strength from Zion, saying, rule in the midst of your enemies.
Right, and that's what's happening now. You think about all the brothers out on the street and doing YouTube videos and teaching in many different ways. That rule is going out now. You know, the physical part of it just hadn't came, but the kingdom is being set up. And where is the kingdom at? It's from within. So it's coming out. It's speaking out. It's speaking now.
All right, this that table he prepared for us in the midst of our enemies. You know, in the 23rd Psalm, thy rod and thy staff comfort me. You know, thou prepares a table for me in the midst of my enemies. So eventually, we gonna rule in the midst of our enemies. You know, all our enemies gonna be there, and we gonna rule right in the midst of them. You know, and they gonna be in complete subjection to us also, cause we are joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. Verse 3, Psalms 110, verse 3, Amplified Version. Your people will offer themselves willingly to participate in your battle in the day of your power.
Right, and that's what. Look at us. You know, of course we've been chosen, but the Most High knows what He's doing, and we're willingly doing this. You know, because He's put that spirit on our heart. And some of us can't wait. I know this brother he can't wait to get some Esau.
Can't wait.
In the splendor of holiness from the womb of the